If you're new to saving, it might be very intimidating to see all the options you have out there and this grandiose goal. Or if you're like most people, you don't know what your goal is. You know, you're sitting here and you're working, you're probably saving in your 401k, which is awesome, and you need to do that, or your Roth IRA, do that as well. You got to do as much as you can, those tax incentive savings plans. But the important part is, even though I don't want you to obsess over the goal, I like the idea of having a goal. It's at least a target to sit there and say, what do I need in order to retire? Well, luckily for you, on this channel, I'm going to show you using our software what you need in order to retire. So I'm going to the tools section and a thing we call the retirement calculator. Now, I created this because I simply thought that every retirement calculator stops short. Why did it stop short? Well, you go to your financial planner or your company and say, hey, I want to be able to retire. And they say, okay, how much do you make? Let's go fast forward this. You need to be able to pull 4% of your money every year. Oh, great. You're going to have $3 million at retirement. You should be able to live off $120,000 a year. Well, it's a fail. And here's why. One, they don't really look at inflation as much as they should. Inflation, especially now that we're talking about it, and it's very big in the news, it hurts your dollar. So $120,000 a year, 30, 40, 50 years from now is equivalent to $30,000 or $40,000. Can you live on that today? $120,000 a year sounds like a lot today, but can you live on $30,000 or $40,000 today? That's the question. But two, and the biggest miss, the average, besides the last couple of years, the average human life is getting longer and longer. You should expect to live longer times. Those other retirement calculators don't tell you, do you have enough money to live the rest of your life? They just tell you, hey, you have $3 million. I've done retirement calculators for my friends where they end with $4 or $5 million, but based on their spending, they can only live 15 or 20 more years of their lifestyle before they go broke. So if you're starting at age 65 and you're sitting here and you have to live till 90, 95, which is very realistic, you can't live that because you don't have enough money because the retirement calculator stops short. So let's make some assumptions here and go from there. Let's say you're just leaving college, age of 22, and you want to retire at 65, and your current savings is zero, okay? You're starting from scratch, your current savings is zero. Now, let's say you want to save $5,000 per year, and you're going to increase that saving by 5% per year. Now, inflation will be 3.5% a year over a long period of time based on history. But as you get older, your income is probably going to grow a lot faster than 3.5%. So I'm going to put 5% in here just to start, okay? Next, what are your annualized returns? Well, if you're new to this channel, I'm going to tell you over and over, dollar cost average into low cost ETFs. The market will do 9 or 10% a year. Find an ETF that will charge you pennies for every $1,000 you're in there and just ride the market out. You will beat over 95% of those Harvard overpaid asset managers who get paid too much money to do worse than the market. So let's go put in 9.5% a year. Now, when you retire, what is your annualized returns during retirement? Well, obviously, you probably want to take a lot less risk when you're in retirement because you need that money stable, okay? So maybe you do a much more mix of bonds and fixed income and other sort of investments that generate income for you. So let's say your returns go to 5.5%. And what age do you expect to live to? Guys, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to say 100. Yes, that's a lot, but I'll tell you why. This is margin of safety. If you've watched any of my videos, I talk about margin of safety. Margin of safety isn't just important when you buy an asset, but it's also in factoring for the future. So go in there and factor in that margin of safety. I have to live to 100. Because guess what? As time goes on, they're saying right now, scientists have said about 10 years ago, that the first person to live to 150 is alive today. That means right now, the first person to live to 150 is maybe 10 or 15 years old. That's an incredible number. So if our average age gets up and up and up, and as you are the person watching this channel, you're probably in the higher intelligence and income level, you're probably going to live a very long life. And finally, inflation. Let's call it 3.5%. Now, your current annual income. What do you have currently? Now, that's the issue here because your income is going to go up a lot over time. So let's say you make $50,000 a year right now. I think if you make $50,000 a year and you're only saving $5,000, not exactly the best, but I get it. And we're going to alter these numbers. We're not just going to do this one time. And I encourage you that every time we change the assumptions, please go back and rewatch that area. If one sticks out to you as more relevant to your situation, go back and watch it. If you like this calculator, you want to do it yourself, go to everythingmoney.com, sign up. You get our calculator plus all the other things in our website, the 8 pillars, 30 years of financial data, and the community of investors, thousands of people in here talking every day. It's such a wonderful community, especially for young people to be around like-minded, smart people. So what percentage of your income do you want to have in retirement? And this is the difference between our calculator and everybody else. They don't ask that question as much as they should. I'm going to sit there and say, you want to live the exact same lifestyle, 100% of your income. Now, a lot of people would say your income, your expenses will go down because you'll probably have a paid off house and a lot of other things. Very well could be the case, but let's factor in 100% right now. Now, let's hit the generate button. Do you have enough in retirement? Nope. You need to save around 466 more per year. That's it. So right now, let's go to the bottom. Let's go to our right here, age 65. Look at this. You have $5 million. And like I told you, it still says you don't have enough. Why? Because you have 35 more years to live. As time goes on, you're spending more than you're growing. And eventually, at the age of 96, you don't have any money left. And you're spending $600,000 a year to live the same lifestyle that you're living today. So it just goes to show. But look at that. If we save $500 more per year, look what happens. Boom, you have enough. In fact, that $500 more per year, you end up with $240,000 upon death at 100. All right, so this is how you get there. Now, I showed you how starting at the age of 22 to the age of 65 got you to that level of $5 million. Now, obviously, $5 million at age 65 isn't the same as it is today. But the point is, it's a lot of money. It doesn't include any Social Security if it's still around, which I wouldn't bank on that, or any sort of inheritance you get, or even increasing that this savings a lot. Look at it this way. Right before retirement, you save $44,000 that year versus $5,000 because you're increasing it by 5% per year. Now, let's look at some changes here. Let's make some different changes here just to see how different the numbers are. Let's start at age 25. Zero savings, and let's save $7,500. And let's say your current annual income is $75,000. Do you have enough to retire? The answer is no. You need to save $2,500 more per year, which is about $10,000. So what is this telling me? This is telling me that you need to start as early as possible. If you're already in your 30s and 40s, don't worry. It's better to start late than never. And there are other strategies you can use to generate higher levels of returns and income as time goes on. You might have to save more money, but the best way to handle yourself when you're young is just start saving. If you're one of the fortunate people watching this video who's in high school, do me a favor. You need to go out there and get a job and save $100 per week. You can easily make $100 per week extra. Go work those extra hours. That'll do way more good for you. Put it in a Roth IRA or some sort of IRA and start saving. Let's look at it this way. Let's say you start at age 16 when you can work. And let's say you save $3,000 a year, which isn't even $100 a week. It's $60 per week. Now, the issue is, let's start with this current annual income. Let's call it $55,000. Generate. All you need to do is save $1,100 more per year. So if you get to $4,200, if you save that $100 a week and you go down, generate, look how much money you have in retirement starting at the age of 16, going to 65. You have $9.1 million in retirement. $9.1 million. Upon your death, you still have $10.5 million down here to leave to your family. Now, is $10.5 million at your age 100 the same as $10 million today? Absolutely not. But the point is, you can start soon, start putting that money to work, and you will retire very, very comfortably. And that is the goal here. So how do you get these returns? Guys, I say in all my videos, low-cost ETFs, dollar cost average into them. So there are two that I'm not recommending, but a lot of our community members have done. SPY and VOO. VOO's expense ratio is 0.03, SPY is 0.09. What does that mean? For every $1,000 you put in, 1% would be $10. This is 0.03%. So it's 30 cents per year and 90 cents per year for every $1,000 you put in there. Now, you might sit there and say, yeah, but I want a financial planner. More power to you. I get it. But let me show you how much that financial planner costs you. There are two ways in which you lose to a financial planner. One, paying the fees of the operating the funds. And they'll tell you, oh, we beat the market. They do not. And two, when they don't beat the market, you're losing to the market. So let's say you pay 1% in fees and you lose to the market by 1% per year. Look at how much that affects your retirement. Let's go back to our original 22, retirement age, current savings, $5,000 a year, 5% increases. Now, and we'll go change the annual income to $50,000. Now, instead of 9.5% returns, remember, 2% lower, 1% for fees and 1% for not being in the market by 1%, 7.5%. Before, you're going to have $5 million. Look what you have now at retirement. $3.1 million. That cost you $2.5 million in retirement. And now, instead of saving $5,000 per year, you need to save $3,900 per year, more per year. You need to save $9,000 a year versus the $5,500. Because remember they said you had to save about $488 more or something like that? Go rewatch the video and see it. This is how much a financial planner costs you. It's millions of dollars in lost revenue, lost gains, and fees. And of course, I have financial planners all the time telling me, no, Paul, I beat the market. Then when I say to them, great, show me your top funds between the last bull and bear market. You know what they're going to say to me? Well, if you look at the last 5 years, I don't care about the last 5 years. Show me how your funds did during bad times. Because a really good investment advisor will do best when the headwinds are in front of them. Now, does that mean if you need the advice, things like that, guys, for less money, join the community. It's $1 a day. $1 per day. $1 per day. That's $365 a year. Let's change your annual savings to $4,600. And let's get your returns to 9.5 again. So instead of 3.1 million, you have $4.7 million. Makes more sense to me. Join the community. $1 per day. I do a lot of different videos on this channel. I do dollar cost averaging, retirement, individual stocks, calling out BS, stock market reactions. So if you're new to this channel, go check out the other videos. If you're really interested in picking individual stocks, I love it. I encourage it. But I encourage it with a process, and that's what we're here to teach. We teach a process. Go learn from my decades of mistakes that I made. If you like the idea of buying individual stocks, absolutely, I encourage it. This community is thousands of people who love talking about individual stocks. But I don't want you to forget dollar cost averaging and then take a portion of your money and buy individual stocks. That's what I did for a long time until I had 8 or 9 businesses upstairs that all generated me enough cash flow where I can put 100% of my money into individual stocks when the time is right. So if you're interested in learning that process, you need to watch the next video on our 8-pillar process and how we use it to screen for individual stocks. Thanks very much, and don't forget to subscribe because we release 2 to 4 videos per day. This was a starting point for any stock I looked at. It just happened over time based on my reading and understanding and learning, and also owning and operating my own businesses where I said, what are the things that matter to me? Those things, those 8 pillars have changed a little bit.